Oh my god. Oh my god.
What you just saw was a reenactment of my genuine reaction to a certain someone getting their YouTube channel terminated, and for good reason. A certain someone who's not only had an incredibly tumultuous career and a past full of controversy, but also someone who's been caught doing something incredibly disgusting. That disgusting thing being interacting sexually with minors significantly younger than him. This person I'm talking about is, of course, lakesprout, the one and only. Unless you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you probably have no idea who this guy is, and I'll properly introduce him in just a second. For now, all you need to know is that he makes fetish content for children, and again, I'll go more into depth on this in just a moment. This guy is a predator, and a massive creep at that, and I hope that's something you fully realize in the coming moments. This expose will serve as the final nail in his coffin, one that has somehow not already been closed by the numerous past mishaps and genuinely disgusting and off-putting moments and decisions he's made in his career. But first, who even is lakesprout? According to himself and his fans, he is the sole pioneer of Roblox fart animations. And the general consensus outside of his tightly knit community is that his content is just outright bad. Not bad in terms of quality, of course, as he does have some talent for animating, but bad as in the actual content in the videos he makes is downright predatory. This is a title from one of lakesprout's past videos that has been re-uploaded. You can probably guess what happens in this video since the title is quite literally something you'd see on a porn website. This is fetish content that appeals almost exclusively to a young audience, and it's not his only video like it. In fact, his entire channel, apart from a minority of tutorial videos, is fetish content. This is problematic for a whole host of reasons that I won't get into. I made a video a while back explaining the topic pretty well, so I'd suggest you go and watch that if you want a more in-depth explanation. Essentially, this type of content creates a space where both innocent children and adults with malicious intent mix and interact, leading to the children being put in situations that they shouldn't have to be in the first place, such as them getting exploited or even worse. In a similar way, condo games also do this, but they are not exactly the same. Lakesprout is a condo player, and this is something that he's indirectly backed up numerous times, though he tends to shy away from the infamous title. Generally, the term condo refers to games that you can have e-sex in. However, the term was initially coined to describe any relatively edgy hangout game. A majority of these condo games are what we would call surface level condos, and are unfortunately very popular. None of them are areas that you can have actual realistic e-sex in, but instead serve as gateways to said activity, and are in my opinion just as degenerate as the real deal. The worst types of people gather here, and it's no secret. Others are obscure and have custom models for animations. That being said, all of them, with or without this stuff, are breeding grounds for predatory activity. Lake was in a fart fetish condo group known as Fun Games for You on his alt account Brutus Leopold. He is most likely here exclusively for ERPing, which is what his bio suggests. However, searching for any activity from his account on the group wall yields no results. The group also has a Discord server linked where both updates about and access to more of the owner's games are provided. Lakesprout is not in this server and is instead in another private server owned by a friend of his, which has a rather small member count of around 20 and a quote group chat like appearance. The server members seem to all be well acquainted with one another. This is near verbatim how a person by the name of Koneko described the server in my DMs.
Okay, happy Thursday. First of all, like 2 in the morning right now, so I'm probably gonna sound pretty weird. I'm editing right now, and it was just made aware to me that this server is a server that Lakesprout and the 13, 14-year-old co-own together. I'll talk about this later in the video. Just, you know, keep that in the back of your head.
Koneko is a 16-year-old Roblox animator who met Lake in this server that she just described to me. Lake had interacted in several very inappropriate ways with Koneko after meeting her here, which I'll explain in detail in just a second. The reason she had even been active in the fetish community in the first place was because of several of her ex-friends who were all significantly older than her, mind you, but grouped her over a long period of time, normalizing this behavior. One of these ex-friends of hers also had a part to play in Koneko having her own Discord server that she co-owned, where she was pressured into making her own sexual content, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. Again, she was manipulated by many people over a long period of time into acting this way and producing this type of content. She's gotten all the help that she needs, as well as shown major improvement in changing as a person. She does not interact with these ex-friends nor these degenerate communities anymore, aside from 2 people who do not talk with her in sexual ways. These degenerate communities quite clearly made her uncomfortable, as evident by the numerous confessions and conversations she had with me that prove this. She came to me in my own Discord server with this information because she had trouble getting it out to other people, and this is what she sent me. Before we get started, my friend Epic M1 is also making a video on this situation. Not sure if it'll be out by the time I release this, but if it is, once this video is done, go watch it. We worked in tandem in making this video, and I think it's only fair for me to promote his stuff too. Alright, before I get into the screenshots, I do need to briefly address something. The incident I will be describing started on March 1st, 2025. Currently, during the time of production, as well as while the incident happened, lakesprout was 22 and koneko was 16. Here's both of them proving their ages by either stating them directly or giving identification. Reason I need to state this is because it's rather important information. Koneko lied about her age for a bit, which I'll get into later, and I hadn't mentioned Lake's age previous to this, unless you watched my last video on him.
Also, by the way, this one person that you'll see is koneko. It's an alternate account of hers. She used it to talk to people in the fart fetish community. That's really all there is to that, so yeah.
Anyways, here's how everything started. Lake first contacted koneko via DMs on March 1st, 2025 with a simple "do you know my Roblox user" as his first message to her, presumably so he could roleplay with koneko. He had not known about her age at the time and didn't even bother checking. He then gave his alt account's username Brutus Leopold. From here, the two would form a rather sexual and morally inappropriate friendship, with koneko even stating she had felt as if Lake was trying to steer the relationship towards that of a more romantic one, which in the end turned out to be completely true. Immediately after initiating conversation with koneko, he asked if she wanted to see the animations he was gifting at the time. She's an animator as well, so I'm sure she was intrigued by the question. Now, you would think that Lake would send something cute like a PM Damien style animation, or at the very worst a somewhat suggestive R63 video. This would not turn out to be the case, and upon seeing koneko's reply, Lake was eager to send the numerous fart fetish animations he had been working on. After about an hour, Lake asked to roleplay with koneko as well, attempting to persuade her into doing so by stating it was only fair for him to roleplay since she had accepted his friend request. Though there was already a roleplay game on her profile set up, this does not excuse the fact that Lake had willingly asked to do so with her, despite not knowing her age or even attempting to verify prior to asking. She had entertained the idea, but in the end denied the request by stalling and going off topic. After this, Lake had seemed to forget about wanting to roleplay, at least for the time being. He asked a few other times to roleplay, but the two never actually did, and both of them have stated so. As Lake was exchanging this content with her, koneko brought up the fact that she had her own Discord server. lakesprout immediately asked for the invite link and said that he wanted to join in and take a look. Inside the server, koneko took commissions for fetish animations, and she was pressured by the people there into sharing heavily cropped fetish videos of herself. Thankfully, the server is now deleted, and this is no longer something that she does because she's gotten help. The two continued to converse, and Lake offered to share more of his special animations that he had saved onto his device, some of which were from the account I mentioned in the previous video. Koneko accepted the request, promising that she wouldn't leak the animations in the process, and in turn complimented the amount of effort that was put into the animations, seeing it as somewhat impressive that Lake had been able to do all this by himself. The animations themselves were of a pornographic nature, and he sent his mega link full of similar videos that's age-gated in his server, mind you, to koneko in DMs. Eventually, the conversation devolved into the two discussing their IRL locations and road trips. I can't exactly show you the contents of this conversation because lakesprout very well could file a privacy complaint against me if I were to, so read this disclaimer. I just found it interesting that he decided to talk about where he lived with someone that he's not even known for a day. A once again important thing to note is that lakesprout had not known of koneko's real age of 16 nor her fake age of 17 until she revealed this fake age on March 2nd, 2025 at 2:09 p.m. While this was a lie that was perpetuated by koneko herself that enabled her to stay in certain NSFW servers she participated in, there's also still a roughly 5-year age gap between the two parties, with them being 17 years old and 22 years old respectively. That's still gross, okay? Conversation between the two continued the next day with the confession that I mentioned earlier and an animation made by Lake. One where koneko's character was, as described by lakesprout, having an orgasm, admitting it was his first time animating somebody climaxing. This is literally unfortunately of somebody that he knew was a minor. She later sent a few of the, as mentioned earlier, heavily cropped fetish videos of herself to Lakesprout, and he was quite visibly excited when he received them, as made apparent by his 40 messages talking about praising her for her body. Again, he was completely aware of her fake age and the age gap between them.
We'll get into his defense for this later. It's not really great, but just know this is unacceptable, immoral, and downright disgusting. Okay? He knew she was 17. He knew she was a minor.
Lake even said that he wanted to make an animation based off of what she sent, which is absolutely disgusting. Something that Koneko told me was that he also gave her advice on like how to hold her phone up properly while she was recording these videos. I don't really have any proof to back this up. It's just a anecdotal thing, but you can see like at the very end of the screen recordings, he goes and he's like asking her about her phone or her pillow, something like that. Something else I want to throw into the mix is that Lakesprout at this time made Koneko aware of a commission that a girl named bought from him. He inserted himself into this commission. I don't even know what to say. Like, really, how desperate do you have to be? This girl sent me a version with short hair because she knows I'm crazy with short hair girls, so I made a private version only for me, and I'm sharing it with you. And then he sends this to Koneko, the 17-year-old who's actually 16. The final talk of the night is once again about role-playing. I'll spare you the details since it's largely pretty boring. It's basically just Lake, like, trying his best to get one of these done. The next day, Koneko spoke to Lake about her now deleted server. This conversation led to Koneko confessing her real age of 16 rather than the proposed age of 17 that she had claimed before. Lake had a very laid-back and chill reaction to the arguably jaw-dropping information that had just been shared with him. He then makes comments about the age of 16 being, quote, an Asian thing for some reason, which I find quite odd. My friend Kiko said it was likely referring to the fact that some Asian countries notoriously have a low age of consent. That's still a weird comment to make, like, even with that context. Super creepy. Apparently, this whole conversation also stemmed from a fetish video Koneko sent of herself to Lake out of the blue. Lake claims to also have unfortunately to this video because he was not focused at the moment. What a great defense, man. Really. This also serves as an admission to getting off to literal by the way, and should not be overlooked at all. This is super serious, and even though he didn't really ask for this stuff, he 100% encouraged Koneko to keep uploading this content just prior by making flirty comments towards her. He also started to this instead of saying, hey, maybe making this stuff isn't a great idea, like he should have done. He's the adult, and there's literally no excuse that he can use for this at all, and this is absolutely abhorrent behavior. He then, immediately after finding out Koneko was 16, figured this was the best time to say that he had plans to meet up with her IRL, you know, just 2 days into knowing her, of course. Koneko was clearly quite disturbed and made uncomfortable by this revelation, as I'm sure most people in her shoes would be. In a later conversation I had with Lake on a burner account of mine, it was revealed to me that Lake initially intended on waiting until Koneko was 18 to meet up with her IRL. I think intentionally going after people who are freshly 18 is a really weird thing to do. I don't know. That's just me. Definitely degenerate behavior. I guess it shows that he was aware that the interactions he was having with Koneko were immoral and wrong, but he continued to follow through with them even though he could have chosen to do otherwise. They never met up. I want to make that apparent, but there was clear sexual motivation to do so, even if he didn't explicitly say like,
hey, let's meet up for sex. I want to do this with you.
Like, it's not really that hard to come to that conclusion after looking through the screenshots. Side note, Lake also mentioned something about not snitching in this screenshot, which is, I'm sorry, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, are you kidding me? So I find the fact that he even felt the need to say this absolutely ridiculous. What do you mean don't snitch? Yeah, don't snitch. Don't tell anybody. Please don't tell anybody. You know, don't tell anybody that I was doing this with you. It could severely ruin my reputation. Please don't get me in trouble for doing something morally reprehensible. Jesus Christ. Don't snitch. Don't snitch. Wow. Lake seems skeptical from here on out about Koneko, yet this doesn't stop him from trying to interact in ways that can be deemed as immoral with her. Koneko states that she only wants normal interactions on her main account. However, this was not the account that she used to roleplay. Not even 2 hours after Koneko had talked to Lake about this, he sent her a diagram of his school schedule in another attempt to roleplay with her, even after knowing her real age of 16. Again, 6-year age gap. What's going on, dude? Koneko vented to Lakesprout for a bit and then expressed her frustrations with the people in the fetish community that she had been friends with in the past. She was convinced that Lake, like the others, was trying to use her for his fetishes, and this obviously turned out to be the case. Lake pretty much confirms this by saying, quote, obviously I was initially attracted to you to because of the fetish. Here's a self-aware joke that Lakesprout made about being a pedophile just before sending his school schedule. Just thought this was interesting. The next day, Lakesprout finally realized that what he was doing was bad actually by repeating some of the same points that Koneko had made in previous conversations, such as wanting purely casual and normal interactions. A bit confused, Koneko wrote, "That's what I've been wanting." And then Lake replied with, "You know I'm a pillar of that community, right?" Referring to the fart fetish community. I fully believe he had only said this to use it if anything had ever come up against him, earning him a get out of jail free card essentially because he's of course the hero in this situation for saying that he shouldn't be talking with minors sexually. That last comment he made is also just super like creepy. I'm just gonna be like blunt with you. That's super creepy, and it's just awful. Of course, kudos to him for finally realizing that what he was doing was absolutely f***ed. I feel this could have been done so much earlier, and it doesn't seem too genuine given the circumstances, but whatever, we'll run with it for now. He explains how he's both morally and legally in the wrong for talking to Koneko sexually, yet he tries to shift all of the blame onto Koneko right after admitting to this. Him saying stuff like,
"You're not an idiot either. You deal with the fetishist and send him your ass in panties with farts."
100% proves this. In the voice call he had with Epic and One, he made several comments about Koneko, quote, not being an innocent girl, as if that even somewhat makes any sense or matters, especially if you know the extra background info that I presented earlier in the video. I'll talk about this in a few minutes, just make sure to keep that in the back of your head. He's still 100% completely at fault for talking to a minor in this way, regardless of how they were acting. You know, could have said something to them, never did. If he wants to paint himself as a victim, by all means he can, but I doubt anybody will side with him because it's just not the reality. On the 7th through the 8th, there was some more like reflecting on Koneko's part. I'm not going to read these screenshots, I'll just leave them up on screen, but the more recently dated one leads into another crucial part of this video. Koneko in this screenshot is seen bringing up deleting her Discord server to Lakesprout, and this is something that Lake will take complete credit for in the next few minutes of the video, by the way, so just pay attention to what's really going on here. Even in the next screenshot, he doesn't really outright say, "You need to go delete the server now," and instead says,
"I mean, yeah, I guess you could do that,"
which is completely different from what he says that he did in the call with Epic M1. Just want to make that very clear. One of the other people Lakesprout came into contact with was 17F. There's not really a whole lot of proof anywhere at all for me to give y'all, so I'll just put on screen what Lake said in my DMs about her and like play back what he said in the call.
Now about the 17 girl, she already knew like my age from start. I told her I was 22. She told me she was 17, and I didn't really talk it with her in that mood. It was mostly just us talking, and it was mainly because she was talking to me in Spanish. But she told me she role play and all that stuff, but I never like interacted with her in that way. Then suddenly someday she told me, she started talking like, "Okay, when you're coming, when are we gonna meet?" All of a sudden, okay, and that's what I asked her. Okay, you know I'm 22, right? You are giving consent, and that's when she blocked me, and I never talked with her again.
One last thing I'd like to point out is that Lakesprout has been interacting with several people even younger than Koneko and 17F, not in a friendly way, but once again in a most likely predatory way. Given what I've explained in the past few minutes, this should automatically be sounding alarms in your head. Is a 13 to 14-year-old who is friends with Lakesprout on both Discord and Roblox. Like Koneko, she lied about her age, saying she was 19 instead of 13 to 14, and Lake knows about her real age because a person by the name of, who I'll talk about in just a moment, told him so. The date and time this information was made apparent to Lakesprout is not something that Koneko or I have been able to figure out. However, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Ko owns a fetish Discord with Lakesprout, and this is again the same Discord that Koneko met Lake in. Lakesprout made numerous fart fetish animations of all of which, if you can recall, were shared with Koneko in DMs on March 1st. This is disgusting, however, I'm not entirely sure if he knew about his age or not. Another thing worth noting is that on numerous occasions, he's gone into detail with Koneko in DMs about how he just accidentally ends up in roleplay games with the 13, 14-year-old, and also how and sent fetish videos of themselves and or of other people to Lake in this Discord that co-owns with him. With the fact that these videos aren't entirely original, bringing seemingly more distraught to lakesprout rather than the videos being posted or made by minors themselves. Again, in a couple of these screenshots, I'm not entirely sure if Lake was aware of their age. It's just something I thought was kind of important. Lake also talked about sending, quote, horny emojis and stickers inside of this server. I think that's kind of off. He sent an example to Koneko in DMs that was like a picture of the characters in Neon Genesis Evangelion doing something. I'm blurring this out. Like, I'm not gonna show this. YouTube's gonna like strike me if I show that, but just not really a great look, man. Interestingly enough, he has a sticker of a similar nature up and is now terminated YouTube's Discord server. Wonder what the intentions for this emoji could be. Even then, now he knows of age and he still chooses to interact with her in the fetish community and may also still co-own this Discord server with her, which is insane to me. I thought him interacting in this way with a 17, 16-year-old was bad enough, but I mean, this is someone who's significantly younger than him. Like, we're talking 8-9 years, okay? The girl I mentioned earlier is a 15-year-old that lakesprout also still has contact with on both Discord and Roblox. She didn't lie about her age at any point in time, and Lake is aware that she's 15. I'm not 100% sure about what all has gone down between them, but like I mentioned earlier, given what we know about lakesprout, it's probably safest for Lake to just not interact with Lake, let alone the fetish community that he involves himself in. The Discord server I've been referencing since about the beginning of the video is not something that I myself have been in, and in fact, it'd be pretty much impossible for me to get in there because of the verification that I've had described to me by people like Koneko. Not only that, I'm almost entirely sure that lakesprout would immediately ban me from the server if I were to join to investigate. Both of these girls are still on lakesprout's friend list. Okay, interestingly enough, lakesprout has actually unfriended on both of his accounts and on his ERP account. There are only 2 accounts friended on his ERP account. I'm not entirely sure who these people are, and I don't intend on doing investigations on these people. One of them is just terminated, so you know, that's great. But yeah, I'm still leaving this segment, and like he needs to be called out for this. I'm sorry.
He literally enabled these minors to continue participating in the fetish community for God knows how long. One of his most recent badges is from a fart roleplay game. A fart roleplay game. I don't think that he's the only person contributing to this, but he was doing irreparable damage to these girls by simply allowing them to continue interacting in this community for so long. Like, are you kidding me? 5 months before you cut this person off. 5 months. Not to mention the fact that 2 people confirmed that she was 13 owning a fetish Discord server with you. What is wrong with you? I genuinely hope that this is just a big misunderstanding, but by the looks of it, it isn't. It just isn't. That is absolutely unacceptable. There's no defense you can even use for this. This is... I know he's gonna come after me after I release this video too with some BS like, oh, what? I'm changing. We cannot trust you, lakesprout. We cannot trust you to change as a person. We cannot trust you. You are not to be trusted. You need to leave the internet. Go. And don't pull out a crazy ad hominem out of nowhere and be like, well, actually the minors, they aren't really that innocent. They aren't really that innocent. They knew what they were doing. We'll talk about that in just a second, actually. Koneko literally tried to get the people that you allowed to stay in the community out of the community. In this screenshot, she's literally telling who is like his best friend to help her out. She cares. You don't. You allowed a minor to co-own a fetish Discord server with you. He did literally nothing about it until I started promoting my video on Twitter. No, Christ almighty. Oh my gosh.
He's made animations of not just these 2 girls, but also another 15-year-old. And all of these animations you can find on his Twitter. They're just on his Twitter. So yeah, that's really great. He's quite literally uploading fetish of minors to his Twitter. Awesome. Oh yeah, Lake has also been seen defending and harboring a predator that was exposed by gone fishing. I'm not going to talk a lot about this because let me tell you, this guy can make a great video just like all by himself, but I'll put the like the Twitter thread of proof and like all the screenshots up on screen now, just like, you know, kind of slideshow them. Honestly, this isn't surprising in the slightest to me, considering all the behavior that I've talked about, you know, just coming from lakesprout. This person and somebody koneko is friends with had a conversation about koneko and that whole situation. And the logic here is just absolutely insane. Again, another victimizer going, bro, these minors are crazy, even though they're the reason that the minors are like this. It's people like you that put these kids into these situations. It's your fault. I don't even think I should have to explain this, but yeah. It's terrible. I think this just goes to show that lakesprout should not be on the internet at all. Like, he's not to be trusted. Because in no way, shape, or form should a 13-year-old be co-owning a fetish Discord server with you. That's absolutely insane. Like, are you kidding me? They're still in middle school and you're blatantly allowing them to keep doing this. And clearly you have no problem with it because you still talk to this person. Like, what's your logic here? I don't understand that. This can't be considered anything other than harmful to this 13-year-old. And not to even mention the minors that you made animations of, sexual animations of, mind you. That's like abhorrently bad in itself, knowing that these people are younger and then like uploading them to your Twitter. You're a monster. Now that I've gotten the story explained properly, I can talk about the 3 confrontations that we, Epic M1 and I, have had with lakesprout. The first was on May 8th and happened between only my burner account and lakesprout. Nothing new was established and the conversation was more so just me trying to understand his thought process. However, there were some key things that I'd like to take note of right here. One was that he had not only been talking with koneko and 17F, but also a multitude of other people that I, in all actuality, do not know who they are. And 2, he admitted to frequenting condos. That's really it. That's all that really took place here. The second time happened just a few days later, done with Epic M1 and CTI. It went smoothly. However, Lake felt the need to repeat several points that just don't really add up throughout the duration of the call. The first of which was, I stopped being inappropriate with koneko after finding out she was 16. He did not immediately stop being inappropriate with her once he found out she was 16. He explained he had plans to meet up with her and he even requested another roleplay with her, that of which of course never happened. Here's a little reminder, he also still acted inappropriately with koneko when he was under the impression that she was 17, which is also inexcusable since he's 22 turning 23 this year. Another he constantly repeats is, but I got her out of the fart fetish community. While yes, he did somewhat aid in getting koneko out of the community, this was something she had planned on doing prior. Lake's involvement in getting koneko out of the community is rather minimal as well and essentially boils down to him being a yes man, as seen here. He takes complete credit for doing this and shoved it in Epic's face the entire time he was being interrogated, even though this wasn't entirely the case at all. I believe he repeated it so much because in reality it's the only sort of good he did in this whole situation, if you can even say that he really did anything, because he's quite literally just agreeing to what koneko had been putting in front of him. The third claim is that she's back into the community. This claim was usually made right after he would say, I got her out of the community. There's quite literally nothing backing this up, and the claim itself also makes no sense at all since I've had conversations with koneko about this, and it's quite easy to tell that she's concerned with the way people treated her in the community and how other people could be treated as well. There just really isn't any reason for her to go back. The people there made her very uncomfortable.
Still, the story was incomplete. Like, the story is incomplete because it seeks to just get me in the worst position possible.
I suppose this is somewhat true. There was some missing context once it was posted, that being koneko lying about her age. But with that said, both the evidence that I've gathered since and the required context that he wanted so badly in the thread still condemns Lake as a predator, or at the very least an incredibly irresponsible and horny internet degenerate that shouldn't be trusted to keep any promises, nor should he be trusted with his large platform.
Even though I don't think it's okay He doxing me. Like, I don't think
He
that's
didn't, he
okay.
didn't dox you.
I've cleared this up with Lake, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Something else he implies throughout the call is that Koneko was not innocent and that she knew what she was doing.
I mean, she's not that innocent. She knew what she was doing.
This statement not only seeks to shoo out Koneko and paint her in a bad light, but also shifts the blame entirely onto her as if this whole situation was started by her in the first place. If you can recall, it wasn't, and lakesprout was the first to message Koneko. Shocker, I know. Earlier in the call, Lake had also talked about helping Koneko with a fart fetish roleplay game that she needed help with developing.
After you found out she was 16, why did you keep talking about role plays?
Because she had this game, so she was asking for help for it. So I just was helping her with whatever she needed.
I mean, I think that just kind of, voids the argument of her not being innocent because you're quite literally trying to help her and you're not doing anything to, stop her from being in this community. Like, you were actively aiding her in making a fetish game as a minor. Like, this was after he knew that her age was 16 and not 17 like she had presented before as well. He proved his own defense of the situation wrong earlier in the call. Like, bro, keep your stuff together, man. Jesus Christ. Lakesprout is the adult and Koneko is the child, and this is quite literally something that Lakesprout said in an attempt to make himself seem way better than he really is in this situation. He had two justifications for everything that happened, and I'll break them down here. Neither of them really do a good job at excusing what went on, but it's Lakesprout we're talking about. Should I expect anything better? The last thing I'll talk about is Lakesprout apparently lying about not doing roleplays anymore.
Right now, I'm not role playing, though. It was just like that month when everything went down bad.
Here's a statement made by him in a fart fetish Discord server. I was mentioned in a thread by an account on Twitter that contained this image in it. In the image, Lake is seen admitting to still doing fart roleplays, or at the very least, still interacting with the people inside of said communities based around Roblox, mind you. He was swiftly banned from the server after this account had found my archived Twitter thread, and this message was sent by Lake on June 27th, 2025. So this is a very recent message from Lake. By the way, Lakesprout is also in a group that owns a softcore scat fetish game, not on his alt account, Brutus Leopold, but his main account, Elmatis. Here's that. The third confrontation was largely just me owning up to a couple things that had happened throughout the investigation. I'll put the message on screen, pause to read. I'm not really going to explain this because it would kind of be a waste of time, and I just really don't see it as that important. It mainly had to do with lack of professionalism in the call that he had with Epic M1. Epic was understandably mad, okay? I don't blame him for being mad, but some of the things that he said just probably shouldn't have been said.
It is a minor.
As well as my Twitter thread not having the right context. And yeah, I just wanted to address that with Lake. Now, you probably remember a couple minutes ago, I said something about Lake accusing me of doxing him.
He doxing me.
I believe what he's referencing is one post in a thread about a bunch of other YouTubers that contains a burner email or something like that of his. I didn't do this. This never happened. He just decided to pull this claim out of nowhere to play the victim as if he hasn't done anything to, warrant this reaction from... I didn't do this, okay? Just compare the dates. The post was made in October 2023. The first time I even heard about this dude was on July 3rd, 2024. And the day after I made a post in Epic M1's now defunct school board. This isn't even something that I could have possibly done. Another thing that me and him talked about was his girlfriend being 5 years older than him when they started dating while he was 15. I'm not gonna make a comment that goes further than this is disgusting about this relationship because I know literally nothing about it. Other than, the age gap. Still gross, but it's not really my place to speak, okay? Definitely does explain some things, though. I just got back from my vacation week, and it was nice if I'm going to be honest, just not having to deal with lakesprout at all. But 2 or 3 things did actually happen while I was gone. The first of which, as you already know, is Lake's YouTube channel just straight up getting deleted by YouTube. I'll put the message that he sends up on screen now. Essentially, the whole thing is just him going, "We had a good run, guys. We had a good run." Yo, what's up, guys? It's your favorite furry femboy YouTuber, Real jamesrr, and I'm cosplaying as... Okay, you probably wouldn't get the the reference, actually.
You can literally get this hat in game.
I'm cosplaying as my current favorite YouTuber, lakesprout. He was so talented. I can't believe he got banned, man. We had a good run. YouTube took it down. Although I've already appealed, I honestly doubt it will come back. Yeah, you were making porn for minors. Obviously, it's not gonna come back. He's so corny, bro. He also made a new Twitter account. This one is 18 and up. Yeah. Dude finally listened to the people critiquing him. Oh my god. And here you can find the stuff that was in his mega link. Generally pretty gross stuff. The very first post that was made to this account was basically just admitting to all the things that I talked about in this video. I'm going to choose to not cover this in this video because I already talked about it in a previous segment. Basically, he just like leaves stuff out intentionally and he just kind of manipulates his way out of the situation. Friend Bucket made a thread and I'll put it in the description. It goes over everything largely well. If you've watched the video up until this point, you know exactly what he's lying about. The people in the comments aren't really any better and they're just like writing off all of the behavior that he even himself admitted to. Nobody cares, just post fart videos so I can WFAPS? It's all good, man. I hope people realize you're a changed person. You're a changed person. I hope people realize you're a changed person. And he still actively co-owns a fetish Discord server with minors in it, mind you. He doesn't care about the other co-owner being a minor, and he also decides to upload fetish animation videos of minors to his Twitter even after all of this happened. This was July 27th, and this was also July 27th. This was same day. Really, he's such a changed person. Yeah, none of this behavior is surprising in the slightest to me. I really don't think this guy should just be allowed to crawl back onto the internet. He's made a new YouTube channel. Of course, it's against YouTube's terms of service to operate a new channel after your original gets terminated by YouTube itself. And he not only has this new channel, but he's actively re-uploading his old videos to this channel. Okay, so guess what? The channel just got deleted. Thank you, YouTube. I think the worst thing about all of this, aside from people just like letting him crawl back into the community, even after he himself has made all this stuff public, is that his server members like didn't even bat an eye when he announced it. Literally nobody decided to make a comment about any of the stuff that he put up on Twitter. Not a single soul in the server. And they instead decided to be extremely sexual with and around a 14-year-old. What do you... Are you kidding me? This is one of lakesprout's close friends. This is one of lakesprout's friends saying to a 14-year-old. Mia also sent a gift that says no more East to this 14-year-old. Awesome. Lakesprout decides to send a Diddy gif. You can't make this up, bro. Get out of this. This is great. This is the only person that I've seen talk about the whole situation in his Discord server since he, announced it to his Discord server or whatever. And he's quite literally just excusing the things that he did. Can't make this up. Oh, wait, hold on. I know who this guy is. This person was featured in my last video on Lakesprout, and he claimed to have stopped paying for the channel membership for Lakesprout. He did not, and I believe he even upgraded his tier. This guy legit pays $50 a month for predatory fetish content. Jesus Christ.
I don't know where religion came from. I just canceled the subscription. I didn't know that's how tough that was, but hey, thanks for the reality check.
Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. You should have left and canceled the subscription right then and there. Shame on you. I draw the line at, religion being used in a fart fetish video, but not him soliciting fetish videos of minors. God, leave the internet for a good while and don't come back. Bury yourself, bro. Leave the internet. Shows the character of the people inside of these types of servers. Yeah, so that's what happened. So I should let you guys know. I'm going to be really quick with this. I made a Google document that just kind of goes over all of the things that can be deemed slightly questionable since my first video was released on him. Just going to speed run through this and made a little note off to the side. First of all, he made a compilation video with minors in it. Already talked about this. And one other girl. He's a bit racist, not straight like several instances of him saying the N-word as a Hispanic, and I don't really have credible proof to back this up, but he may also be lying about his race to say this. He can be mixed and say this stuff. That's fine. I don't really care. But he's never referred to himself as black or mixed prior to insulting Epic M1 in an announcement that he made to his Discord server. I made a community post on him a while ago, and he responded to me by saying I made hateful content. He lessened restrictions on NSFW content in his server. He just made the server 16 plus, which I find kind of odd. Proof that there are little kids in lakesprout server, by the way.
What the fuck? 1980, and he's not even banned.
Maybe he's not that little. Maybe he's not that little. I don't know.
But he just has a baby face, trust me.
But so you can pay $8 a month for a Patreon or channel membership for, you know, his fart fetish, or just be somewhat active in his server to get access to it, which is absolutely insane to me. He made a Minecraft Jenny mod parody video, a trailer for a fart video with somebody named OMG KDQ. Based off just these two videos alone, his claims of wanting to move on completely to safe for work content is an absolute lie. And if he really did plan on it, he did it way too slowly. As we all know, his channel got deleted. He made a new one only for that to get deleted as well. He made a Twitter and he is active there. This one right here is actually incredibly interesting. This is really complicated and I'm not even going to try delving into this, so I'm not going to, but he pretty much just doesn't hold himself to the same standard as other, you know, Roblox predators, I guess. You are a if you are role-playing at 18 with a 16-year-old. Look, I'm gonna ignore all the terrible things that this person has done. That is not how that works whatsoever. lakesprout, you are 22 turning 23 and you try to do the same thing with a 16-year-old numerous times. Are you kidding me? Dude, by your own logic, you're a pedophile. You are a pedophile by your own logic. Why hold yourself to your own standards, dude? Again, I'm ignoring all the bad things that this person has done. Koneko has like in-depth described to me how this person treated her. It is not pretty, okay? It's not pretty at all. But still, Wake coming out to his server and being like, this person's bad actually. Also, they're a predator. Yeah, is super rich, super rich coming from him. When the person he's talking about, finds out about this, he will probably tell all of you about my recent experience with Koneko and the multiple other people that I've talked about in this video, which I've already talked about on Twitter, so it's not new news. It's not new news. The difference is that Leah never wanted to face the consequences of what he does or did. Wow. lakesprout is a victimizer. If my last video didn't somehow prove this to you, then hopefully this video did. He's a sick and depraved individual and shows little to no care about not only the content that he used to make, but also the minors that he's acted incredibly inappropriately with. And that is seriously concerning. My heart goes out to all the people that have been affected by both him as a person and his content, and honestly, I sympathize with you guys. This is not anything that you should have to deal with whatsoever. In my opinion, Lake deserves to be deplatformed at the very least, and even though I don't really think it's enough, hopefully his YouTube channel's termination has taught him something. I am forever grateful for YouTube since they've taken actual action against his predatory fetish content. However, there is still work that needs to be done. There are people actively re-uploading his old TOS breaking videos, and this needs to be taken care of since YouTube moderation has completely brushed this under the rug. The most you can do as a viewer is report the videos on these channels for sexual content. I'll show you how to do that right now. Go to any one of these videos, pause the video where you see the sexual content, scroll down, click the three dots right here, click the report button, sexual content. Make a report similar to this, not exactly this, because YouTube will just ignore the reports if they look exactly like this. Then click the report button. Simple as that. This whole situation needs more exposure, so if you're a content creator and you feel like covering the case, all resources, screenshots, and log footage associated with it will be in the description in a Google Drive so you can access them easily. And also, if you need any help with the screenshots, feel free to join my Discord server and make a support ticket. I don't accept DMs at the moment, but I will gladly help you dissect whatever you need, since I know there's a lot to take in here. Just want to say huge thanks to you if you've made it this far. Also, huge thanks to my channel members and server boosters. Y'all genuinely mean the world to me. I've been nearly non-stop working on this video since April, and honestly, I'd appreciate it if you could subscribe if you haven't. I really believe that Lake and the people who choose to associate with him should be called out, and in all sincerity, I hope this 40-minute long video is enough to do so. Real people have been affected by him, and they will continue to be so long as nothing is done about this. Please get the word out there. Anyway, I've been jamesrr. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Consider joining my Discord server and following my Twitter. Like and subscribe. Peace.